I'm curious if you could open up the door for us a little bit to know more of the practice of Dutch folk at the time, because Jan Bavinck wrote an autobiography for his own purposes as Herman's father, but then Herman obviously wrote these diaries. I believe I never took Dutch. I know German, so my German pronunciation might influence my Dutch and then make me make errors. Like I know it's aufscheiding, even though every fiber of my being wants to say aufscheiding. But speak about the dagboek or the practice of that. Is that
Yeah.
unique to Bavinck, or is that something that most people did as a daily practice?
No, that's something that was widespread in his era. So something that I try and draw out in the book is that Bavinck is a modern person born into a modern family. So his father, as you mentioned, Jan Bavinck, wrote, he calls it a short sketch of my life, but it was like 42,000 words long. And he wrote it as an old man, not too
Yeah.
long before he died, in a really modern way. So people in that period developed a very keen sense of their individuality, of their experiences as unique, and of time is passing so rapidly and the world around you is changing all the time. Because you've got all kinds of big social changes around you, you have industrial changes, technology, everything is just hurtling forward. And you're very aware that your experience of that is unique. And you don't want those unique memories and experiences to be forgotten. So if you're a modern person like Jan Bavinck, Bavinck's father, you write down those experiences, and he wrote this huge, not in any way short sketch of his life, which is a very modern practice. And Herman did something similar. So he never wrote, as far as I'm aware anyway, a long, um, you know, a personal autobiography at the end of his life like his father did. But he chronicled his own life from his teenage years until the very end in dagboeken, as you say, in these a daybook, literally a journal, where he's just constantly writing down his experiences, his thoughts. There are lots of written prayers in there as well. And they're part of this awareness of the individual, of the modern person, as that you are a particular person, that you're not just a kind of generic human being whose own experiences don't matter that much. So
Yeah.
Bavinck is really modern in that regard as well, and wants to try and reflect on his experiences. Something interesting that I came across in doing this work is that for a period of his life as a student, he was keeping two journals, two dagboeken, and writing sometimes different accounts of the same day's experience,
Oh,
which was really fun to find. And I think my theory on why he did that is that one of them is actually a tiny, tiny book. When you hold it physically, it's really small, and you can keep it in your pocket. And then the other is a more expensive book to buy. It's much larger, so you have more space and you can't carry it with you. So I think that he would quickly write his thoughts on experiences as they happened, and he would do this a lot as a student. And then at the end of the day, when he's thought more about them, you then get a longer, carefully crafted entry on that day and on his thoughts and things. And sometimes what he writes actually differs in his interpretation of his experiences. But it is really fascinating. It's also part of childhood Christian devotional culture in that historical period as well. So parents would encourage their children to keep a daily journal like this, where you record um, I guess, your self-awareness. What kind of a person am I becoming in my teenage years? What am I praying for example? So it's an aspect of personal discipline, of character formation, and it's part of the wider culture, and Herman Bavinck is very much a part of that. So for them, it was really important to chronicle your life.